A World Bank report in 2018 revealed that about 40% of Nigerians lived below the poverty line, while another 25% were vulnerable of falling below the dreaded line. Since Nigeria returned to democratic rule in 1999, with the Olusegun Obasanjo's administration, Africa's largest economy, Nigeria, experienced economic growth that peaked at 15.33%. That achieved in 2002, while at the end of its 8-year tenure, Nigeria registered a GDP growth rate of 6.95%.
OBJ had a very strong economic team. The cabinet itself was pretty strong. Things were running properly. There were all the issue of having to wait for 6 months before setting up a cabinet, and there were also cabinet changes during that regime. So everybody, those kind of things tend to put people on their toes. You know that this job is not a forever job. He did a lot of things in the privatization side of economy, where we brought in some things that transformed the economy in a very strong way. Things like the Pensions Act and the implementation of SAIL, the telecoms, which have been on the ground before, but I mean, he brought in all these private institutions that came in and totally transformed that.
During the late Yar'Adua's presidency from 2007 to 2010, economic growth hit a peak of 9.13%, averaging a 7.98% for Yar'Adua's short term in office.
Yar'Adua was a very thorough man. People who work closely with him will tell you that this man will sit down with memos, read them, underline, and make comment by the side. He was a serious-minded person. But unfortunately, he passed. Of course, when you have a serious-minded leader with that level of, I think he even had a bachelor in chemistry, of thoroughness, you expect the impact to be felt generally in the quality of the leadership.
When Goodluck Ebele Jonathan took over as president after the death of his predecessor in 2010 and was later elected president in 2011, his presidency saw a rollout of many economic reforms, including field regulation, which was hit by the hashtag Occupy Nigeria protests. Jonathan's presidential years saw economic growth at 5.31%. The highest growth rate was 6.22% recorded in 2014. Nigeria's GDP growth averaged 4.80% under his leadership from 2011 to 2015. Muhammadu Buhari's administration historically signified the transfer of leadership from an opposition party to Nigeria's democratic history. An election where promises to diversify the economy from crude oil were made alongside others. Under the Buhari administration, the economy had experienced rising food inflation and currency inflation, which has seen Nigeria's GDP per capita fall to the level it was 40 years ago. His 2016 presidential years experienced a decline of -1.58%. The highest growth thus far has been 2.27% recorded in 2019. Although his administration ends in 2023, GDP growth under his leadership is projected to average 0.61%.
We are in the election season already. There are a lot of spending that will go on to further exert pressure on the inflation that we are already experiencing. So inflation might even aggravate.
The countdown to Nigeria's election has started, and all political parties have chosen their preferred candidate. But is the economy plan for these contestants been weighed enough to determine who wins?